Hey all. Hey, I just wanted to talk through something for a minute because I had a little exchange in the comments on one of the videos recently with somebody who said, you know, when you say tune to the recording, or we were sort of talking about the need to explain that, or he was suggesting the need to explain that. And I said, well, you know, if you're going to call yourself a guitar player, you got to be able to tune to what you see. Like if you see me doing this, and that doesn't sound like your E, but it looks like an E. As a guitar player, you probably shouldn't have to ask, hey, wait a second, are you tuned down a half a step? You should know instantly, intuitively, that if you see this shape and it sounds like it's off from what you are, then it is either tuned up or down slightly or whatever from standard or from what you're tuned to. So if you see that and it doesn't sound like what, I mean, you have to be able to identify an E chord. You just have to. You have to be able to say that's a D when you see it. That's a G. You have to. So I said you have to be able to do that, and he, in like typed words, it looks like I'm saying, you, dude, have to. And he said, rightly so, I guess. Dude, I do know, but I'm talking about for the good of other people, and don't be condescending and say that I don't know. But what I was saying was, when I said you, I mean, you got to be able to. I was talking about guitar players in general, so I hope we're cool, me and that guy, because that's not what I meant. But seeing it typed up in print, I totally understand that's how he interpreted it. So, sorry, dude, but let's talk about the point you raised, because it's a good one. So thank you for that. Because he said, you know, you need to explain, or you should try explaining that for the good of people. But for one thing, and I've said many times, that's not the kind of instruction that I do. So if you're into the this is a D chord, you put this finger here, and that's called a D. And when you suspend it, it's called a D sus2. Whatever. I don't do that. In fact, I don't even know that. I don't know if that's called a D sus2. I'm just pulling that out. But I have no idea what those are called. To me, that's suspend the E string up one fret. You know, that's all I know. That's the language I use. But I'm also not into the detail of explaining to someone how to play the guitar. My channel is for people who already know. You know how to play. You can get through you know, a rendition of Communication Breakdown. You know what open G is, and you kind of know Keith uses it. You know, that kind of stuff. So not really for beginners. That's not what I do. And what I've explained and tried to get across, that what the end goal, the end purpose of my lessons and stuff is to get you to say, oh, I get it. There's a pattern to these things. I can figure these, I, meaning you, again, this is the use of the royal I, or we, or you. You can figure these out too, once you sort of understand where things are going. Because like if you listen to AC/DC, listen to the High Voltage album, virtually everything in there is in E and A. That's played with E and A, right? In fact, that's true of most AC/DC albums. But if you sit down with your guitar and you're put on the album and go track by track, you're like, wait a second. Long Way to the Top is in B flat. You know, no, Angus never played anything in B flat, right? He played an A. Or if it sounds like it's slightly lower than A, he either did it in G or he did it with A. But either they sped up the tape, or slowed the tape for that matter, to bring the pitch down. Or on any given day, they're just tuned to whatever. They have a guitar, two guitars and a bass. You don't need to tune to like a true keyboard A. Whatever Bond's voice is that day, that's what they're tuning to. So you'll develop an ear for this if you just sit and try these things. Like literally sit down and play through probably Malcolm's parts, because those are the most fun parts to play. You'll find out really quickly that I think you would intuitively figure out very quickly that most things are in E and A, the ones that aren't. are just because they're either tuned up or down from there, or they better slow the tape. So you'll be tuning constantly if you're playing along with an AC/DC album. I don't know if that's still true today, but it was true in the Bond era. Some things are true for 40A. But a lot of them are not, and that's not. I just use AC/DC as an example because it's so obvious from song to song on their albums. But tons of groups are like that. So what I had said to that guy in that exchange, I don't want to lose sight of it. You know, if I just said, if I just gave you this, oh, you're tuned to this. And I gave you just the B string. Because watch, we'll do it. Right, they're all over the place. But if I just said, okay, that's your B. I didn't detune the B. I kept where it was. See, all I had was the B string, but I can get pretty close to in tune just from that one string. And you have to, all of us, you really need to be able to do that. Before you learn songs, before you are doing this stuff, which I can't do, you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to, when you see, well, like I say, well, we'll try it again. Like this. Now I've tuned, I don't know how far down that was. Maybe it was a full step, I don't know. But now it sounds like this. If you're watching a video and you see this, and that doesn't sound right when you play it, mine sounds lower than yours, then you gotta know, oh, okay, I gotta tune down. Well, he hasn't given me any string to tune down to. How do I tune down to match that so I can learn this, you know? Well, I have given it to you, because I'll say, oh, your E is this, you're tuned to this. Now I haven't gone through every string to show you. I haven't done that. I've given you this. So I know that's what I'm tuned to, this, whatever that note is. If I just give you the chord, you're tuned to this. You need to be able to tune to this. Just from hearing this, I'm tuned to this. You need to be able to tune to that automatically, very quickly. Pause the video, whatever. Tune that based on hearing this. I mean, clearly that's an E chord. You need to be able to recognize it. And if it sounds like this, and yours is higher, then you got to tune down to match it. Pause the video, tune down to match it. That, again, this is for learning by ear. This is very important. If you're one of those, if you want to be a player who learns by ear. And even get to the point where, because I've been playing for 30, how many years? Since 1983, 38 years? 1982, somewhere around there. To be driving in the car and hear a song and learn it as you're driving in the car. No guitar anywhere nearby, but you can hear the progressions and what's going on. You can even sometimes you can develop an ear for knowing when they're tuned down, you know, or tuned up for that matter. But at the very least, be able to recognize chord shapes and know that it's not the same as standard pitch, and know that it's either up or down slightly. Again, by looking at it, you know what that is. If you're a guitar player, you know that's a D chord. In some fashion or another, that's a D chord. It may not sound like a D because it's up or down, but use that as your clue, or that, or that, or that. You know what these chords are just by looking at them. mean, your F might be like that, but still, like watch Jimmy Page videos. He doesn't bar chords like that. He does them like that, unless he's doing this stuff. You know. Same with Pete Townsend has his way of when he does his A, the A configuration bar chords. He does them kind of like I do. Mine are a little bit more over the top, but he does do them like this. So you see his hands, and it looks like that. So you'll get to recognize that's a B, a barred B chord, believe it or not. You'll be able to recognize those things if you just spend a little bit of time thinking that through and experimenting with things and seeing. Believe your eyes, believe your eyes, and if it looks like a D and doesn't sound right, then figure that out from there. But I think that's sort of foundationally important to learning how to play by ear, or learning by watching a demonstration video, a demo, where it's not this is a D, then it goes to C, then B minor. Without that kind of instruction, where it's just playing through something. Because tons of people, other than me, I don't do very much of that anymore. But tons of people do just demo videos, and you can learn to play just by watching. When I was in my formative years. 1985, I'd been playing for a few years, and I was just starting to figure out how to play things by ear. And I went to see Joe Walsh, that Confessor tour. Great album, great tour. But anyway, I was right up at the front, and he did this, he was doing Funk Number 49, and he did a really cool sort of solo introduction to it, before he actually got into it. But when he got to the riff and stuff, my eyes were just glued to watching his hands and what he was doing. That stuff. And so as soon as I got home, I picked up an acoustic guitar and I could do it. Just by watching what he did. It was the same. In fact, Aerosmith was on that bill too, so I watched them too, and that's how I saw them do Back in the Saddle using that 6-string bass. I was like, aha, it's a 6-string Fender 6. It's not a guitar. So anyway, being able to visually pick things up, I think is very important for learning by ear, which is ironic because you're sort of learning by eye that way. But that is part of the process for figuring out songs. So. Tuning to a recording, it is an art form that you pick up along the way, but I think is important if you're going to try to pick up things by ear. Because if I'm trying to learn AC/DC's first album, and I haven't figured out, I got to tune slightly up or down to match what they're doing, then some of those songs are really, really difficult. A lot of Malcolm's parts become really difficult if you're trying to do them in flats and sharps instead of what they are. Or Thin Lizzy. I told this story on another video. One of the first cover bands I was in was doing, I replaced the guitar player, so they already had a set list, so I had to learn their set list of like 60 songs. I showed up for the first sort of audition rehearsal, and they said, let's do Boys Are Back in Town. Like, ooh, we're going to try to trip them up on Boys Are Back in Town. So I immediately start retuning down a little bit, and they're like, so we could do it in A, and they're like, no, man, it's in A flat. What are you talking about? I was like, are you guys serious? You really think Thin Lizzy recorded a song in A flat with A flat shapes? It's in the key of A flat, but it's done as an A, because they tune down. So those kinds of things. Even experienced players don't know that stuff. But if you were going to try to play through a Thin Lizzy album, try to play through the Jailbreak album without retuning your guitar, it's going to be a hell of a thing, man, to do Cowboy song in flats, in flat chords. So of course they don't do that. Malcolm's parts to play them well and convincingly takes time and takes discipline and is not easy to do. But the chords themselves, if you see them written out on paper, they look like junior high stuff. Playing it is a whole other thing, but the chords themselves, the progressions are very simple, in some ways predictable, blues-based chord progressions. That's not to diminish AC/DC or Malcolm, who I adore and is one of my favorite players, and was a really great player. But I hope this sort of clears up some of the stuff about tuning to a recording and tuning to what you see on a video, and I hope it clears it up for that one dude who I didn't mean to insult, but I understand why he was insulted, so I apologize for that. But anyway, good luck later.